Are you setting yourself up for success? On this episode of Driven Too Far, we're talking about why your outcomes are your responsibility. Hello, I'm Andrew Winkler with Chief Carriers, and this is Driven Too Far, the truth about trucking, a podcast that helps over-the-road truck drivers balance career and family. Welcome back to Driven Too Far. On today's episode, we're talking about personal accountability. You know, we've all worked with that one driver, thinking about our recruiting processes. We go through the process, we look through the application, we do the background checks. On paper, this person looks fantastic. So we bring him in, we hire him, and orientation goes fairly smooth. You get them in the truck solo by themselves, and then all of a sudden the wheels start to fall off a little bit. So that's what we're talking about today. So recently we had a new hire, somebody that had flatbed experience. If I remember right, maybe 3 jobs in the last 10 years. Everything looked really good that way. Had all the credentials, clean MVR, PSP was clean, not a violation on there at all. So from our perspective, when we're vetting drivers to bring into our company, that sounds like the perfect person to us. Like I said, they look fantastic on paper. Nice guy, certainly personable person, got along with everybody well in orientation. Didn't see any red flags there. But for whatever reason, something happened after we turned him loose on stuff. And it was suddenly things like he's late on loads, he's sick a lot, can't figure out the directions. And it's for somebody that's been driving for over 10 years, it just leaves you scratching your head a little bit about what is going on with this person. So the real message I want to drive home today is the gap between what your expectations are and the reality of what plays out. So it's not unusual for a driver to say, hey, I need 2,500 miles a week, 3,000 miles a week, or I need to make $1,500 or $1,800 a week as a company driver. But the reality is you're saying those things, but if you can't leave on time, you can't secure your load, you can't make delivery on time, you're spending too much time in truck stops, you can't manage the logbook, those things just aren't going to happen. Now, I don't want this to be just about drivers because personal accountability goes both ways. It goes inside the office, outside the office. So I don't want you to think that, as a carrier, we just point the finger at drivers and say, this driver can't get it done. That certainly is not the case. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to meeting the expectations, delivering for the customers, doing our jobs safely, and performing well. So that takes a team, and that takes teamwork to get that done. I'll tell you a quick one about this happens. Unfortunately, it happens every once in a while. But we offer a quarterly performance incentive to our drivers. So something above and beyond their base pay. And we have certain criteria the driver needs to make to qualify that for that quarterly bonus. It's first of all based on safety, as you might expect. You can't have any accidents, incidents, anything like that. There is a productivity piece, meaning you just have to hit a minimum productivity number. And we do that because I don't necessarily believe paying all drivers the same is necessarily a good thing, because the reality is there's certain drivers out there that work harder, safer, better, and are more productive than others. And when you look at that, is it fair to pay all drivers the same across the board? No. You want those drivers that are really out there getting it done for you, doing it safely. You want them and expect them to make more money. That's the reward for their hard work. So beyond the minimum miles per quarter that we require, we also have a minimum miles per gallon on the company trucks they have to hit. And then if they hit those things and they don't have any late deliveries, no safety events, I think I mentioned, basically they qualify for the performance incentive. And what that is, it's we take their miles, we look on a scale that says at this many miles per gallon, we pay them out maybe a penny, this many 2 cents extra, 3 cents extra, and all the way up to 4 cents extra, times whatever miles they ran for the quarter. So that's the incentive. But what happens, unfortunately, is you get drivers when we release the numbers at the end of the quarter, there's always seems like there's a driver or two that's disappointed, right? Frustrated, didn't hit the number. And they want to know why. And pretty soon it wouldn't be that unusual for somebody to stop believing in the incentive process or our incentive plan because they feel like the company is just not allowing them to achieve that extra money. And the reality is, we set the bar the same across the board for all the drivers. So we set the bar, we communicate the bar to you. Here's what you have to achieve to qualify. And then over and above that, of course, you earn the incentive. I think one of the frustrating things too is sometimes people think incentive plans should go out to everybody. And like I said, that's just not what it is. An incentive plan is just that. You have to reach a certain goal to achieve that incentive plan. But unfortunately, when we get people that don't take personal accountability for their own actions, that's when we run into some challenges there, especially with like our quarterly bonus. And what I mean by that is, let's say they didn't hit the minimum miles for the quarter. So we set the bar fairly low. It's 26,000 miles for an OTR driver for the quarter. So that's really only 2,000 miles a week average when you think about 13 weeks. So that's not super high. But if somebody misses that, once in a while we'll hear a complaint and they'll say, well, I can only do what dispatch gives me. While there is some truth to that, absolutely, you can only do the miles that you're presented with. There's always more to that story. So what else goes into that? It's your availability as a driver. How often were you available to work? How often did you go home? Did you deliver on time? Were you being productive on those days and those hours you were out on the road? Or were you spending extra time in the truck stops? Did you leave the house late? Things like that make a difference. And when we talk to the driver about that and say, listen, you just barely missed this cutoff. What could we have done different? We're talking 13 weeks here to kind of correct a small behavior. And if they've only missed it by 1,000 miles, maybe 500 miles sometimes, that's only a day's work, right? 500 miles, about a day's work. So in that 13 weeks, 90 days, what could you have done different to gain back those 500 miles? So that's really I guess the direction we take on it. But it's super frustrating when people can't look in the mirror and own that they have a part of this as well to be successful. It's not just on the company. And by the way, it's not just on the driver. It's like I said, it's a teamwork type of thing. But the personal accountability goes a long way. And I would go as far as to make a prediction. If I can't get the driver to own some of that personal accountability for the reasons they didn't make the incentive that particular quarter, then there's a really good chance it's probably going to repeat and happen again. But if I can get somebody to understand, you're right, I could have got out of the house a half a day sooner here and maybe half a day sooner that week when I went home, and I would have easily had my 500 miles that I missed it by. And that's what we want. We want them to recognize they have a part in this too. So I'd go back real quick to the story I opened with the driver we hired with the good record on paper, but once he got in the truck, he just couldn't perform. And at some point, he is also going to have to look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that he is his own issue. Dispatch is setting him up for success. They're not, pushing him too hard. They're not giving him impossible loads or impossible timeframes to do anything. It just, unfortunately, when you're a driver and you're out there, and if you make a mistake early in the week, that's going to snowball on you and affect the rest of your week. And it's probably going to screw up your paycheck. And then by the time that comes in, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, what is going on? Why can't I hit this number? They promised me I was going to hit this kind of income, and I haven't been able to hit it. So again, look in the mirror, ask yourself first, what could I have done to impact this? How could this have played out differently if I would have made different choices? And that's a great place to start, because really, if you can get that far and then have a conversation with your driver manager, I think you're going to see really good things to come. It's personal ownership. It's personal accountability. There's understanding that I am responsible for my own actions. My dispatcher is not. And if my own actions played a role in me not hitting that goal or that target, then I'm the only one that can correct that. I hope you're not out there just hoping your dispatcher is the one that's going to make you successful. They certainly play a role in that, but you play a big role in that as well. So, are you partnering with them to make yourself successful? I guess that's one of the questions you need to ask yourself. So, operations, dispatch safety, the company itself, they can set the table for you to be successful, but you play a big role in that success as well. Are you ready to work for a carrier that helps set you up for success? Check us out at chiefcarriers.com, and the links are in the show notes.